نحمدك اللهم يا من نورت قلوبنا بأنوار المحبة العلوية وأكمل لنا ديننا بالولاية المرتضوية وتم نعمته علينا بالهداية الحيدرية ونصلي ونسلم على الخاتم لما سبق والفاتح لمن غلق والمعلن الحق بالحق والدافع جيشات الأباطيل والدامغ سولات الأضاليل حبيبك وحبيبنا أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين ولا سيما النور على النور في طخياء الديجور والإمام المنصور والسراج المستور مهدي هذه الأمة وخاتم الأئمة إمام زماننا الحجة بن الحسن العسكري عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. To hasten the reappearance of our beloved Imam, let's recite 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Respected elders, dear young ones, brothers and sisters in Islam, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The Quran, which is a complete guide for all of the believers. The Quran, which is a universal book for us all to adhere and attach towards in order for us all to gain perfection and to reach that stage where we are known as those people who are the believers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, following the path leading us towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Quran, which is a guide, the Quran, which is a universal message for us all to attach ourselves towards, is not just a book for the holy month of Ramadan to be recited. Rather, Quran is for us to read and ponder and take lessons and understand every day of our lives. Quran, when we come to the Holy Quran, we notice that the Quran is not just full of stories for us to understand, not just with the best of stories. Rather, the Quran has lessons, advice, commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, jurisprudential issues, fiqh issues, spiritual issues, physical issues in terms of the world and how the world was created and how the world is. The Quran is full of lessons for us all. And when we come to one of the commands that has been repeated on different occasions in the Holy Quran, we notice that this verse and this particular 2 words has been repeated on different occasions in the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ إِحْسَانًا. And we commanded mankind for his parents, in terms of his parents, to always show kindness and respect and love. If you notice that this verse, which has been repeated on different occasions, every time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands mankind to show love and respect towards his parents, it's been always when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's been always after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us to worship Him. So the most important task for me and you and every single creation in this world, after worshipping and believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah alone, the next most important duty upon all of us is to show respect, kindness, love towards our parents. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Surah An-Nisa mentions أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهِ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. Worship Allah and do not associate and put any partners towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What's my next duty? وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. The next duty upon every single one of us is to show kindness and respect towards parents. In another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, would say, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ. And your Lord has commanded that you worship none other than Him, than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then, the most important duty, the first right upon your own self is to show kindness and respect towards your own parents. Even Luqman alayhi salam, when he is giving advice to his own son, he will say, Ya bunay, La tushrik billah. Oh dear son, do not associate anyone, any partners towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he would say, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ إِحْسَانًا. And we have advised, we've given that wasiyyah, that will of our own selves, husna, that towards his own parents he shows goodness, kindness and respect. A man would approach our holy prophets. Like many of the believers, many of the Muslimin, they would come to the holy prophet and they would ask questions and they would get the best of answers from the holy prophet, the best of solutions, the best of understanding. Then he came towards the holy Rasulullah. I said, Ya Rasulullah, what is the status, what is the position of my parents? What is their status? What's their manzilah? Rasulullah would reply, Huma, your parents, Huma jannatuk wa huma naruk. They are your heaven and they are your hell. I said, Ya Rasulullah, how could it be that my parents are both my heaven and hell? Rasulullah responded, be good towards them, birhuma, be good towards them, then the gates of paradise open up for you. Be disrespectful towards them, show hatred towards them, then the gates of heaven are closed upon you, and the gates of hellfire you have opened upon your own self. Rasulullah and the Ahlul Bayt and the Quran, as we just mentioned, have always placed importance in regards to respect and kindness towards parents. One of the greatest sins is to be disowned by one's own parents. Uquq al-walidain. Hence, the ahadith mentioned on many occasions. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself says in a hadith al-Qudsi. What's a hadith al-Qudsi? Hadith al-Qudsi is a statement from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is not in the Quran, rather has been transferred to us from the prophetic statements and from the ahadith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَعِزَّتِي وَجَلَالِي, by my might and my honor, if on the day of judgment a man comes with the thawab of jami' al-anbiya, thawab jami' al-anbiya on that day, but he was aq al-walidain, but he was disowned by his own parents, he disrespected his parents, he hurt his parents, he hated his parents. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if he comes with the thawab of all of the prophets, how many prophets we have? 124,000 prophets, who all just done good deeds, just done thawab, just done hasanat. That man comes on that day with the thawab of jami' al-anbiya, but he was aq al-walidain. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَنْ أَقْبَلْهُ مِنْ, I shall not accept him into Jannah. Iyak. The Holy Prophet says, Iyak, beware. of being disowned by your parents, for the rih of Jannah, for the fragrance of heaven, it has spread for 1,000, for alfi sana, for 1,000 years. The distance of 1,000 years, the fragrance of paradise is spread. But the one who disrespects his parents shall never be able to smell the fragrance of paradise. When you come to the importance of respect and kindness towards one's parents, it comes, you open up many avenues and open up so many important decisions in your life in regards to respect and parents. For example, the Ahlul Bayt would say, Birrul Walidain, love and kindness and goodness towards your parents. Birrul Walidain, afdal min as-salah, wal-sawm, wal-hajj, wal-jihad, wal-umrah fi sabilillah. Showing kindness and goodness towards your parents is greater, is better than salah, than fasting, than going to hajj, than going to umrah, and jihad fi sabilillah. All of that is godly acts, good acts, great acts. But greater than all of them is to show kindness and respect towards your own parents. Love towards your own parents. Even not, it does not just mean that you need to speak to them for you to be good or bad. Imam al-Sadiq salawatullah wa salamu alayhi would say, Man nadhara ila abawayh, Man nadhara ila abawayh, nadhara naqatin lahuma. Whoever looks at his parents an ugly look, a disrespectful look, lam yaqbalu Allah salatah وَلَوْ كَانَا ظَالِمَيْنِ. Allahu Akbar. He would say, whoever looks at his parents an ugly look, a disrespectful look, disturbing look, in a bad way towards his parents, just looking, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shall not accept his prayer. Even if his parents were dhalimain, were unjust and corrupt. Look what Amir al-Mu'minin says. Amir al-Mu'minin, who we wish to in these nights, when we're getting closer towards our master Amir al-Mu'minin, he would say, if you look at your parents with kindness and respect, it's like looking at the Kaaba and receiving the same thawab and reward. He would go further, the Ahl Bayt would go further. They would say, النظر إلى الوالدين برأفة عبادة. Just to look at the face. النظر إلى وجه الوالدين. Just to look at the face of your parents with kindness and respect is a form of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's go a little further today when we wish to get closer towards our parents. These days of Shahr Ramadan, we wish to bring that bond and closeness towards our own parents, our beloved parents. One day, a man, he thought he'd done a great job, a great task. He carried his mother. He carried his mother on his back. Carried his mother on his back. And went towards the tawaf of Baytullah. Round and round the Kaaba, how many times? 7 times he went round the Kaaba with his mother on his back. Then he looked at the son of Rasulullah, the grandson of Rasulullah, and said, Ya ibn Rasulillah, هل أديت حقها? هل أديت حقها? Have I returned back the right of my mother? My mother, have I returned back her right? The Imam replied, La. وَلَا بِزَفْرَةٍ وَاحِدَةٍ. No, not one painful contraction that she went through when she gave birth to you. They asked Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, what is the right of my father? He would respond, the right of your father, أَن تُطِيعَهُ مَا عَاشَ. حَقُّ الْوَالِدِ أَن تُطِيعَهُ مَا عَاشَ. is that you show complete obedience towards your father. As long as he's in this world, you always obey your father. Then Rasulullah said one powerful statement. He said, Ya Rasulullah, وَمَا حَقُّ الْوَالِدَةِ حَقُّ الْأُمِّ. What's the right of a mother? Rasulullah said, if you were to collect and count every single particle of sand in this world, and if you were to collect every single drop of matar, of the rain in this world, you shall never be able to understand and collect and account for yourself the reward and the return of the right of one moment when she carried you in her womb. Hence, when the Holy Quran says, وَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, and do not even respond to your parents by saying uff, and never reject them. They asked Imam al-Sadiq, why has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used the word uff in the Holy Quran? Why not another word? Imam al-Sadiq responded that the smallest word in the Arabic dictionary is alif, fa, uff. If there was another word, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have replaced it with that smaller word, meaning never respond back towards your parents. Obey your parents. Love your parents. Show kindness towards your parents. Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he would be in the food sufra, and that sufra where they would be having lunch and dinner. And they would say that Imam Zayn al-Abidin would be very careful on that particular meal. They would say, Ya Ibn Rasulillah, why are you so careful? He said, in that same sufra that I am sitting, that same area that I'm sitting, my mother is sitting. Now the mother of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, in this instant when he was mentioning, was not his biological mother, was the wife of his father. His mother had not been there in that particular incident. The wife of his father. He would say, Yabna Rasulullah, he would say, Akhsha an yasbiqa yadi yadayha. I fear that my hands are placed on a food that my mother's eyes are on, and I fear that I use and take that food that her eyes were on, that she wished to take. I fear that I become despondent and disowned by my mother. How many times has it been that we've ate, we've finished, we've ate and we finished, and we've not even thought about our mother and father, have they ate or not? We've thought about our own self. Our own self. Hence, Prophet Musa alayhi salam, Prophet Musa, the Prophet of Allah, he would say, Ya Allah, who is my jar? Who is my neighbor in heaven? My neighbor. Every single one of us, when we wish to buy a house, or wish to rent a house, we wish to know who's the neighbor. Who are the neighborhood? Who are the people living in that area? Prophet Musa says, who is my jar? Who is my neighbor in heaven? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, your neighbor, O Prophet Musa, in heaven is the butcher, Asab, in the area. He said, me? Nabiullah, Musa, and my neighbor, Al-Jar, is Asab? He said, yes, your neighbor is the butcher. Prophet Musa went to see that butcher. Who is he? Is he a prophet? What kind of person is he? Does he pray all night? Does he fast every day? What is so special about him that he's my neighbor? He went and saw him. Looked at him. He saw there's nothing special. He's a butcher. He brings meat, he sells meat. He brings food, he sells it. He told the butcher. The butcher did not recognize that this is the Prophet of Allah, Prophet Musa. He said, oh butcher, can I today be your guest in your house? He said, Ahlan wa sahlan. You can be my wife. You can come to my house today. He went to his house. He noticed again, his house is nothing special. Simple house. Simple butcher. Why is this man my neighbor in heaven? Suddenly he noticed that this butcher, he went upstairs. Came back down. He carried an old lady, a feeble lady down. And he started to feed her and provide her with some food and carried her back up the stairs. As she was going back up the stairs, she raised her hands in dua and asked for some dua and for some hajat. When he put her back in her place and came back towards Prophet Musa, he said, "Oh Qassab, oh butcher, who was that lady?" She responded, "That was my mother. I have been taking care of her, feeding her, providing for her, clothing her, anything she wishes, I take care of her." He said, "But when you took her back up the stairs, when you carried her back upstairs, she raised her hands and recited dua. What was the dua that she said?" The butcher said, "My mother, every time when I take care of her, I feed her, she raises her hands and says, 'Oh Allah, allow my son to be the neighbor of Prophet of Allah, Prophet Musa in heaven.'" Prophet Musa smiled and said, "Tell your mother that her dua has become mustajab, for you and I are going to be the neighbors of one another. You and I, the Prophet of Allah, Musa, are going to be the neighbors of one another in heaven." Why? Because of his great goodness and kindness towards his own mother. Al-Jannatu, the hadith says, Al-Jannatu tahta aqdamil ummahat. Heaven lies under the feet of who? Your mother. Never, whatever we do in this world, never can we repay back the kindness and respect and the greatness our mother and our parents have done towards us when it comes towards our mother, which heaven lies beneath their feet. Prophet Musa himself says, "Ya Allah, Ya Rabb, awsini." Prophet Musa narrates that 7 times. Every time he said, "Ya Rabb, awsini," Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded, "Musa, awsik bi ummika khayra." "O Musa, I advise you and command you to do only goodness and kindness towards your own mother. Awsik bi ummika khayra." 7 times. Then he mentioned, "Oh Allah, why have you mentioned this 7 times, one after another, respect and kindness towards your mother?" Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded, "Ridai, ridaha, ridai." If she is pleased, I am pleased. وَسَخَطُهَا سَخَطِي. And whoever angers her and displeases her mother, their mother has displeased Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amir al-Mu'min comes again, and every time we come to statements of Amir al-Mu'min Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, he comes with a beautiful statement. He says, "Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, birru aba'akum yabirru abna'akum." Show love and kindness and goodness towards your parents. Your children will show goodness towards you. There was a young man. He was taking care of his father. His father was bedbound. He was in a wheelchair. This young boy, he was doing great work, taking care of his father. One day he thought to himself, "I've had enough. I've had enough." He placed his father on that wheelchair, and he pushed his father to the middle of the park. He carried his father on the floor, on the ground, on the grass of the park. And he told his father, take care of yourself. Goodbye. His father looked at him and said, what are you doing over there, son? He said, Father, to be honest, I've had enough. I've taken care of you for so many years, a number of years. I've just had enough. And that's it, you can take care of yourself in the middle of the park here. You can do what you want. The father said, okay, but please take this wheelchair with you. Take the wheelchair with you. The son said, why, father? Why should I take the wheelchair with me? He said, take this wheelchair with you. In 30 years' time, when you'll be in the same position as me, let your son carry you and bring you back to this same park. Birru aba'akum yabirru abna'akum. Be good towards your parents. Your children will be good towards you. Many of our brothers and sisters, they know of a very famous speaker by the name of Sheikh Abdul Zahra al-Ka'bi. He used to recite the Maqtal of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein salawatullah wa salamu alayhi in Karbala. He himself narrates that I was once studying and reading in my hujra, in my study room. Suddenly I heard there was chaos and huge noise outside. I went to see what was happening. I saw a son and a father having some havoc between them, talking, arguing, discussing, fighting, until I saw something. I got shocked. I saw the son, wal-'ayadu billah, spit at the father's face. I ran after the son. How dare you? I saw the father saying, come back, Sheikh, come back, Sheikh. I said, your son just spat in your face. Come back. The father said, come back, Sheikh, come back, Sheikh. I come back and I see the father streaming with tears down his cheeks. I say, what's happened? Why are you crying? He should be crying. He was disrespectful. He said, no, Sheikh. 30 years ago, just this same place in the middle of this market, I spat at my father's face. And today I see the response of that action. Ya ayyuhan nas, remember the words of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Birru aba'akum yabirru abna'akum. Respond to this every day. Show kindness towards your father, towards your mother. Your children will show kindness and goodness towards you. Hence in history we have one lady who was so kind towards her father. She was so caring towards her father. She loved her father. She respected her father. This Husayniyah is named after her. After that one lady who was Sayyidat Nisa'ul Alameen. She was not only Sayyidat Nisa'ul Alameen. She was not only Zahra. She was not only Fatima. But she was given a title. No one else in history has given that title. She was Ummu Abiha. Ummu Abiha, the mother of her own father. In the sense that she took care of her father. She respected her father. She loved her father. She obeyed her father. She was full of everything that a father wants to see in their daughter. Fatima Zahra, who covered herself from every na mahram. Anyone who was na mahram, she covered herself from. Hijab in full. Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. So much so that once a blind man was in the area, Fatima Zahra continued her full hijab. Rasulullah, her own father said, Ya Fatima, why are you protecting yourself and wearing hijab and covering yourself from a man who cannot see you? He is blind, he does not have any sight. She replied, oh dear father, oh beloved father, even though he cannot see me, I can see him. I cover myself from him. I protect myself. I have the hijab from him. Fatima is a role model for every one of our sisters, every one of our daughters, every one of our mothers, everyone for us to take and take on board. We have been unjust towards Fatima Zahra, but by not truly knowing her in our lives. Follow her example, follow her path, follow her hijab, follow her respect, follow her care, follow everything in the life of Fatima Zahra. Muhammad Ali Klein, many of us take him in boxing and in sports as a great personality. He would say to his own daughter Layla came back that day, he would bring Layla towards him, Muhammad Ali Klein, and say, Layla, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has created this universe, and this universe has many valuable treasures. But let's take a sight towards those things which have been valuable in this world. Gold. Layla, where is gold found? Under the mines, deep under the ground, covered and protected. Layla, let me give you another example. You see there is something called pearls. Where are pearls found? Deep in the ocean, under the ocean, under the water, deep under the water, covered and protected in those shells. Pearls. Diamonds, where are they found? Deep underground, protected, covered by different layers, one layer after another layer after another layer, as every one of these are valuable. Layla, your body is valuable. You as a lady are valuable. Keep yourself protected and covered from others. Hijab of our mother Fatima Zahra. Here we are on this moment where we remember the importance of respect towards the mother, respect towards the parents, the father. Let us remember that there was a great lady by the name of Fatima Zahra who gave everything she had for Allah and Allah alone. She would come on that tragic moment after the wafat of Sayyidina Rasulullah. After Rasulullah's tragic moments, she would come and she would go towards her own father's grave, and she would complain towards her father of the grief, and she would say, Ya Rasulullah, subbat alayya masa'ibun. O Rasulullah, O beloved father, tragedies befell upon me. صبت علي مصائب لو أنها صبت على الأيام صرنا لياليا. These tragedies befell upon me, such that if the tragedies befell upon day, they would have become nighttime. Amir al-Mu'min, after the tragic death and martyrdom of his beloved wife, the mother of his beloved sons and beloved children, he was in full of grief. He would be shedding tears, he would be crying. And there was another one in his life by the name of al-Baneen, who Amir al-Mu'min had chose this al-Baneen for who? For his beloved son Imam al-Hussein. al-Baneen gave 4 sons in the way of Allah, for the battlefield of Karbala. Hence the narrations narrate that after when they came back, Imam Zainul Abidin and Sayyidah Zainab towards Medina, they sent a companion towards Medina and said, Ya Bish, go inform the people of Medina that the family of Rasulullah are coming back, the family of the Ahl Bayt are coming back, inform them. Bish runs towards Medina and he would tell the people, Ya Ahl Yathrib, la maqama lakum biha, قتل الحسين فأدمعي مدرار. O people of Medina, O people of the city of Rasulullah, there is a great news for you. The son of Rasulullah, the grandson of Rasulullah has been killed, has become martyred. The people of Medina rushed towards the masjid. They rushed them towards. And there was one lady by the name of al-Baneen. She would say, O Bish, أخبرني عن سيدي ومولاي أبي عبد الله الحسين. Give me news about my master, my leader, Abi Abdullah al-Hussein, he would say, who are you? Who is this lady? Who is this lady? They would say, do you not know who this lady is? This is Baneen. He would say, Bish would say that I wish to condole her. I said to her, عظم الله لك الأجر. Oh, Baneen, condolences upon you, upon your beloved son. Who? He would mention this first son, second son, the third son. She would say, do not mention about my sons. كلهم فداء للحسين. All of them are in sacrifice for Hussein ibn Ali. He would then say, عظم الله لك الأجر بولدك العباس. عظم Allah, condolences for you upon the tragic martyrdom of Abbas. She would say, لقد قطعت نيات قلبي. You have cut my heart into pieces. You have ripped my heart into pieces. Do not inform me about my sons. أخبرني عن الحسين. Until he would say, عظم الله لك الأجر. Condolences upon you. Condolences towards you upon the tragic martyrdom of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. She would call out and cry out aloud, Wa imama, wa Husayna, wa imama. وحسينا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين رب اغفر لي ولوالدي رب اغفر لي ولوالدي رب اغفر لي ولوالدي وارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا واجزهما بالإحسان إحسانا وبالسيئات عفوا وغفرانا. O Allah, allow us to be of those who continuously respect and love and show kindness towards our parents, and allow us till the final moments in our life to always be of those who show love and kindness and careness towards our parents, both our mothers and our fathers, inshallah. Allahumma ajjal li waliyika al-faraj. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج. O Allah, hasten the reappearance of our beloved Imam. اللهم إنا نسألك زيادة في العلم وصحة في الجسم وبركة في الرزق وطولا بالعمر بطاعتك وراحة عند الموت ومغفرة بعد الموت ونجاة من النار ودخولا بالجنة وعافية في الدين والدنيا والآخرة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. إلى روح المؤمنين والمؤمنات نهدي جميعا من ثواب السورة المباركة الفاتحة تسبقها الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد.